From Miami Beach, Florida, it's theCUBE, covering Acronis Global Cyber Summit 2019. Brought to you by Acronis.
Hello everyone, welcome back to this CUBE coverage here in Miami Beach at the Fontainebleau Hotel for Acronis' Global Cyber Summit 2019. I'm John Furrier. 2 days of coverage, we're on day 2, learning a lot about the global security, cyber security and protection, marketplace and solutions. Our next guest is Alex Miroshchenko, also known as Alex Miro. Great to have you on. Great chatting with you prior to coming on camera. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, thank you.
So, Vice President of Cyber Infrastructure for Acronis, essentially looking at your platform, that's essentially the hyper-converged stack. Underneath the platform software, you're enabling kind of the critical infrastructure for
that's
the
one
platform.
one way to describe it. It is infrastructure. We provide the complete stack, all the way whatever you run on top of the standard commodity hardware, including the virtualization layer, capability to run the standard container workloads, and essentially optimized for our cyber platform.
You know, your interesting background, we were talking before we came on camera about your background. Certainly you've seen waves of innovation. You've been a high performance storage enterprise infrastructure engineer and developer and executive. Lots changed in the past couple years, and certainly the past decade. You were on the vSAN wave, you saw that storage wave. Now we're in a cloud wave, now we're on premise with hybrid.
All right.
So hybrid's certainly now a big part of the operating model.
Right.
So the operating system is not just storage anymore, it's a system view. What's your personal opinion on where storage is now? I've heard software-defined data center from VMware for years. We even joked about software-defined storage, software-defined compute.
Everything.
I mean, everything's software-defined, but software is the game, scale's a game, high performance is a requirement. What's changed in storage right now?
Well, and like everything and nothing at the same time. As I said, like remember going back to like 30 years ago, it was like, oh gosh, if the storage is exploding, soon we're gonna have like 2 gigabytes. A company server, my God, And it's like, where's it gonna come from? Or like imagine when people start recording music, or like they're seeing this MP3 things coming up. So.
It's the same game, different year.
But
more data,
like,
more storage.
It's like this exponential curve. It's like the shape of the curve stays the same. And to be honest, part of me never believes that. I was like, oh, come on. How much bigger can it get? And now everybody's like, oh, we got IoT line. We got like those cameras streaming things 24/7 in every possible thing you can think of. And of course we're going to store everything. Well, we don't necessarily know what to do with it, but so from that point of view, the demand keeps growing, and you need to have technologies to handle that appropriately.
Yeah.
And again, it's just not a matter of kind of throwing the bits somewhere and forgetting about them. It's just keeping them in a predefined order and actually being able to process them. And Acronis is in the business of cyber protection. And some people say, oh, you guys just like a backup company. I mean, yeah, that's a fundamental part of that. But as you pointed out again in our pre-game chat, as you call it, is the traditional data protection guys, be that backup, you can think about as the various, like a RAID as a way to protect your data. They are all about defending against like a physical disruption, as you call it, right? Okay, my disk died, it's like my data center died, like my power went out, so what do I do? I was the data. But it does not protect what I call a logical disruption. I mean, back in the classic
logical
example,
disruption. What is
disruption.
that? Okay, yeah, logical
Did you
disruption.
say destruction? Okay.
Disruption. Well, same thing. I mean,
Right.
ransomware is pretty much destructive. I mean, it's hostage at that point, but
I mean,
logical meaning non-physical, not like an event like a hurricane or outage or something like that.
You removed the wrong file, the right file, and you didn't notice that. And then you went through several backup cycles, and then you realize, oh, I want my file back. But then the backup that had that file is gone. I mean, what are you going to do, right? Nothing got disrupted or destroyed, but your file's gone. That's
All right, so logical disruptions or destructions, that's happening. Certainly security points that out.
But the
Ransomware
security
hack.
is the big thing. That's what the people didn't think about it back. Definitely not like me back like 20 years ago. Is like the so what happens if your system got hacked or like people, like ransomware, right? It's specifically the product designed to, like knock with your storage, like encrypt it, delete it, whatever they want to do there. Again, next thing you know, you like backing up junk that will hit by ransomware, and then you go to your backups and it's like, oh my god, where's everything? Because it's all there. And
so you're saying people have a really strong backup and recovery, but they're recovering malware that they stored.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
it's like that seems like an obvious problem, but like nobody but Acronis has actually provides an integrated solutions to deal with that. I mean, they're different. I mean, people know what the problem is, and there are companies out there like, we'll scan your backup archives, we'll find malware backup. Fine, great. But then anybody who tried to like really deal with the restore in a critical situation knows that even without the malware concerns, it's stressful, shall we say.
Yeah, and it's not always predictable.
And it's always
post
predictable.
haste too. You're doing it after the fact.
Right. But if the malware is involved, it's it becomes an extremely expensive and sometimes impossible operation. Acronix takes care of that because we can actually monitor your backups. We can find out where was the last time you were clean. It's in post hoc. We obviously also do kind of real-time scanning for viruses. So it's a multi-level cyber protection, which is fairly, I think it's unique in the industry.
Well, I think it's interesting how you guys have brought data protection concepts and paradigm and practice, by the way, into cyber with much more holistic view.
Right.
And I think that's like an operating system kind of thinking. And thinking holistically is about systems. And systems has consequences. Something goes wrong over here, it's affecting it over the place. You have to write software for that.
And we have a very strong system background, or DNA as they sometimes like to say that. And in fact, the first virtualization solution, and containers for that matter, were built by the Acronis engineering team more than 15 years ago, way before anybody in the Linux world knew how to spell container or what the hell could that mean. So that's, and like our storage layer, software-defined storage, it's fully blown HCI product, completely our own, understand how to build that. That's gives us a unique advantage among the security companies.
I got to ask you a question. I'm fascinated. I'm a student of history and also a student of competitive advantage when it comes to technology platforms. And the one thing I always say and see with entrepreneurs, whether they're young or old, is that there's two types of entrepreneurs. There's a systems thinker and a coder, right? And I think with platforms, you can't shortcut a platform because there's trajectory benefits, economies of scale for putting the work in. You can't just put a platform out there overnight. You got to have you got to build it, and it takes time. So there's some people trying to accelerate platforms. Some have done the work. You guys have done it for a long time. What's your view on that whole? Well, I'm going to throw a platform out there. What are some of the things that get exposed when I try to, push a platform too fast?
The platform presumes that you have an ecosystem, people actually using it and building stuff on top of that. I mean, you talked about the coders, right? So every programmer or software developer, or most of them at least, they dream of two things. They write a new, create a new programming language, finally the one that can do it. Or the other kind guys we're going to write a new operating system. I went through that phase, mostly in the operating system, a long time ago. And it's a process. I mean, whatever you build has to actually serve the purpose.
Yep.
There are lots of platforms in all areas of technology, and then people's like, we're going to create a set of APIs and anybody can plug into us. It's like, unless you solve a real problem and really simplify life for people, they're not going to do that. I mean, right, they're not going to use a platform for the sake of using the platform. Our cyber platform is different because we essentially expose our APIs to our technology that's out there and people have been using. I mean, I don't know if you saw the keynote yesterday. There was the demo of the way how to write, let's call it plugin for the sake of a better term, for the person's interview. When people can add, their own policies to Cyber Protect workflow, which could be specific to what they do, they notarize things like that. That when the platform makes sense because it's already out there and that's a response to customer demands. Like, look, we love what you guys do, but we have this specific set of requirements, and if it's general enough, we incorporate it into the product, but there is also a lot of things which could be specific to a vertical or even to a specific company. We just want to enable them to do this stuff.
Well, that's what platforms are. They're enabling.
Right.
They have to enable some capabilities that provides value to that use case. And that could be custom and domain specific.
But I'm sorry, what?
That could be domain specific. So a platform has to enable capabilities for someone to do something.
Yes, but again, the key point to the platform is it has to kind of solve a real problem, not be there for the sake of elegance or solution or APIs or things of that nature.
Final question for you, Alex. So I'm a CIO or CISO, or I'm out there with decision maker. I'm like, man, you know what? I got to rethink my enterprise architecture. I got to think about. I got IoT coming. I got industrial IoT and regular IoT. I want to have a comprehensive platform. Why Acronis? What's the pitch? And how do you? And what's different than the traditional SANs and storage and other solutions out there? What's that pitch to that enterprise decision maker on Acronis?
You kind of like to say, as you say. I mean, you have a tremendous growth in your data flows. The number of data sources are exploding. It's actually going back to your previous question. I think that's what one of the differences, that it's not just a volume of data, it's the breadth of the data sources you're getting that. So you kind of have to manage that Gazoo somehow, or son of an academy, I don't know what the right analogy, like animal world analogy for that. So you can how do you guys going to manage that? You have to protect it. At least you have to know what your exposure is, what the things there. And just throwing out a bunch of, standard network technologies, point products is not going to solve it. I mean, yes, you can hire lots of people, you can build your own thing, you would be effectively reinventing lots of wheels in the process while we already have that solution for you.
I like the platform idea because it makes data more addressable, horizontally scalable. It's not just a siloed, there's a product out there you can actually work and enable with data. Data's moving around, you got to be acted on.
Yes.
You need software to do that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So that's another thing, is it's not, it keeps talking about structured data versus unstructured data. There's discussions been going on for many years. The reality is you will always have both types, and you will always have the need to process them in both ways. And that's
I have one more final question since that just popped in my head. It's like a final question. What's in the infrastructure platform that you're involved in that people should know about, that they might not know about, that's important to investigate? Is there a killer feature? Is there a killer thing in there that is notable that they should know about? What's under the hood on the infrastructure side for Acronis?
Well, lots of things.
What's your favorite feature?
We've been talking about that.
What's your favorite feature? What's the one thing?
Gosh, it's like I have lots of babies. I love them all. I mean, it's really hard to tell.
You can't take sides.
It's not a sides. I mean, we say, okay, I've been writing storage most of my career, so I like storage, but that doesn't mean it's more important or less important than other things. Unless you have a comprehensive compute layer on top of that, the storage is just then it become a storage vendor, niche vendor, right? Yeah. So that's not who we are. I'm really fascinated by actually the integration with the cyber feature and the security, because that's, on one hand, it's not something that I've been doing in my previous career for most of the time, but I do have a lot of kind of understanding of the workflow issues and integration points, and that's excites me. That's one of the reasons
integrated platforms is, I think, the key thing. Thanks for coming on, Alex. Thanks for sharing your insight. Appreciate it. First thing in the morning here, and afternoon now. Thanks.
You never know, man. That's everybody's so busy.
Acronis inaugural Global Cyber Summit 2019 about cyber protection, not data protection, cyber protection. They both work hand in hand. This is theCUBE coverage here in Miami Beach. I'm John Furrier. We'll be back with more after this short break. Bye.